Hey guys, Barnyard here from freefaucet.io, and today we're going to be talking about the Lightning Network and how it could potentially save Bitcoin from its scalability issues. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we're going to be posting a lot more content like this in the future every day from Monday to Friday every single week. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Lightning Network, but before we do that, let's talk a bit about the problems that Bitcoin is currently facing in terms of scalability. At the moment, the Bitcoin network can only do 7 transactions every single second with 1 megabyte blocks on the blockchain. And this is going to be a really big problem if we see mass adoption of Bitcoin, because we're going to need to have more than 7 transactions be able to happen every second on the blockchain. Now, if you look at something like Visa or MasterCard, they're actually able to do tens of thousands of transactions every second. And if you think about how many people there are in the world, there are 7 billion people in the world. You're going to need to have the ability to do tens of thousands of transactions every second for a cryptocurrency to reach mass adoption. So this is where the Lightning Network comes in. The Lightning Network is a way that you can do transactions off the main blockchain, and that removes any of the congestion that you have on the Bitcoin network, and it also means that you can do way more than 7 transactions every single second on the Bitcoin network. So how does the Lightning Network actually work? Essentially, what you do if you wanted to buy, let's say, a coffee, for example, from a coffee shop, instead of sending your cryptocurrency on-chain like you would a typical Bitcoin transaction, you would do what you call opening a payment channel with the coffee shop. And basically, what you're doing when you're opening a payment channel is you're doing a transaction on the blockchain, which is opening a payment ledger, which is then going to list all of the transactions that you do between you and the coffee shop. But this ledger is going to be off the chain. So to make one of these ledgers, what you do is you open a multi-address transaction. So everyone that is a part of the transaction will add their public key to this transaction. So let's say that it's between you and the coffee shop. Both of you will sign this transaction, and then you will have a ledger of all of the transactions that then you can do through this payment channel. So I could then buy a coffee, for example, and both me and the coffee shop would sign this ledger saying that I have transferred, let's say, 0.0001 Bitcoin for this coffee. Okay, so then I can do a whole bunch of these transactions on this ledger, which actually isn't connected to the blockchain, one transaction to one transaction on the blockchain. We only have the payment channel being opened as one transaction on the blockchain. And then once we want to close this payment channel, we'll do another transaction on the blockchain again. So all of these transactions that we're doing off the blockchain are not causing any congestion on the main Bitcoin network. So we can do thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of transactions off the chain. And then once we are done with all the transactions that we would like to do, we then finally sign this ledger, both me and the coffee shop, for example, and then that is broadcast again on the Bitcoin network. So essentially what we can do is hundreds of thousands of transactions in this ledger, but then only 2 transactions, which are hashed, are put on the blockchain, which are like the final handshake, so that everyone gets the amount of cryptocurrency that they should from these transactions. Okay, but it goes even further than that. Let's say that I have a friend who wants to also buy coffee from this coffee shop. They don't actually have to open a payment channel with the coffee shop. They can open a payment channel through me and then route all of the transactions through me to that coffee shop, which means that you don't need to have a whole bunch of these payment channels open, one payment channel per user-to-user transaction. So as long as I have enough cryptocurrency for all of these payments to go through me, we don't need to open another payment channel, and this is a great way of reducing even more the congestion on the network. Now, so far, this all sounds great. You can potentially do tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of transactions on the Bitcoin network at really, really low fees. But there is a few problems with the Lightning Network that increase the barrier to entry to the regular person looking to make payment channels and that sort of thing. And that is the fact that the user that has created a payment channel has to have enough money or enough cryptocurrency in their wallet to facilitate any transaction that is going through their payment channel. So let's say, for example, I wanted to buy a car with cryptocurrency. I wanted to buy a $30,000 car with Bitcoin. If I wanted to use a payment channel through the Lightning Network, the payment channel that I had to go through, the business that was hosting this payment channel, would have to have that $30,000 in Bitcoin for me to be able to use their payment channel. And this means that the really big organizations that have a lot of cryptocurrency in their wallets are going to have an advantage with liquidity and doing these payments. So let's say that a company wanted to charge a bit of money to allow you to use their Lightning Network. Well, if they're able to do thousands and thousands of these transactions because of the amount of liquidity they have in their wallet. It's going to put them at a huge advantage compared to a random person who doesn't have that much cryptocurrency running a Lightning node. And a lot of critics have been saying that this is going to be a really big problem with the Lightning Network if we see a centralization of Lightning nodes that are more popular than all the others. Personally, I don't think this is going to be too much of a problem because the ease of setting up a Lightning node shouldn't be that difficult. And as we see with time progressing, it's going to be more and more easy to set up a Lightning node, and there's going to be more options for people to choose which Lightning node they want to use their payment channels through. So I don't see this being a problem in the long distance future, but it might be an issue in the beginning as people are just learning how to make these Lightning nodes and a few big players implement it really quickly and have a lot of liquidity to use in the beginning. We're also seeing a whole bunch of different ways that you can transact Bitcoin not using the Lightning Network that are still off-chain. So if you, for example, use something like Bittrex or Binance or any cryptocurrency exchange really, not all transactions that you're doing through those exchanges are actually going to be on-chain. A lot of these exchanges have their own back-end accounting system, which they use to transfer cryptocurrency between users and that sort of thing. And that is a way that they can minimize transaction fees and also just have more control over the cryptocurrency that is in their systems. So let's say, for example, I wanted to transact some Bitcoin and I wanted to send it from one user in a piece of software to another user that's in that piece of software as well. I wouldn't necessarily, as a company, have to send that Bitcoin through the blockchain when I can just send it to a user through my own accounting system and then just say that the cryptocurrency has been transferred that way. Because a lot of these companies, they don't store, let's say, that one user's cryptocurrency in their own personal account on their core wallet and then another person's cryptocurrency in another account on their core wallet. What they'll actually do is just have one wallet which has all the cryptocurrency on it and then have a separate layer of accounting which actually shows how much cryptocurrency each user on that system has. And it makes a lot more sense to do it that way because you're minimizing fees, you have more control over the cryptocurrency as a company, and it's just easier to set up that way as well. So there are a bunch of alternatives like that that cryptocurrency companies are going to be using as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see in the near future how the Lightning Network is going to work. We've already seen a few thousand nodes being set up already, and everything seems to be working pretty well. And it's just going to be interesting to see in the near 1 or 2 years how the Lightning Network fares and if we can see a lesser congestion than we would have seen in 2017. Because when we were in 2017 and we saw a lot of cryptocurrency movement, particularly in Bitcoin, without any Lightning Network, we saw transaction fees just going absolutely through the roof. You know, we saw, let's say that you wanted to buy a coffee with your Bitcoin back in 2017, it just wasn't possible because transaction fees got up to crazy numbers like $15 per transaction. But with the Lightning Network, we can really minimize these fees to where it could be potentially possible to buy anything with cryptocurrency with a low enough fee for it to be viable. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave in the comments if you have any questions about the Lightning Network. And if you'd like me to make a video about actually setting up a Lightning node, I can do that as well. So just leave that in the comments and we'll see if people are interested in watching that as well. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. We're going to be releasing a lot more content like this in the future. Like I said, every single day from Monday through Friday, we do a different video. Leave in the comments if you would like to suggest a sort of video that you're interested in. Maybe you'd like to learn a bit more about Bitcoin or a different altcoin or some other blockchain technologies. I'm sure I can make a video on that if you'd like as well. And make sure to check out freefaucet.io if you would like to get some cryptocurrency absolutely for free 3 times a day. So thank you very much for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next one.